word that's been widely used in our time is freedom. We want to talk about freedom today. We're blessed, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, like we always say, to be citizens of a country that promotes and respects freedom of speech, freedom in general. And definitely freedom is an essential right to all humans, and without it, there will not be any kind of prosperity in life. But like many concepts, the concept of freedom could also be misunderstood. Misunderstood, misapplied, and it could have a negative impact on humans. Many concepts in life, they appear straightforward, clear to us, but when we look at the application, it is highly possible to see wrong applications that will have a negative impact on the humans, claiming to be exercising a correct concept. And our topic today is freedom. Are we truly free? And what is freedom? On the other hand, I would ask, does slavery still exist? At least in a developed country. Does slavery still exist? To understand freedom, we need to understand slavery. What does it mean to be enslaved? Because the opposite to freedom is slavery. You're either free or slave. What is slavery? And what are the types of slavery that we'll be able to identify in our time and age and in our physical location? There are three types of slavery that I want to focus on today, and then inshallah add a fourth one at the end. First of all, we need to know, as human beings, there is a natural type of slavery that we are governed by. What does that mean? Your body has needs. You need nourishment, you need food, and when you consume food, you need to output that food. So there is a biological cycle in your body that you cannot control. Because what is slavery is when you lose control of something, yourself. You don't have control over yourself, you're a slave, right? You have control of yourself, you're the master. Or you have control of others, like the traditional enslavement, they become slaves. Because they don't have control over themselves, you control them. So the question here on the natural slavery, and there's a reason why I want to talk about this, is when you don't have a control over your biological functions. You need to eat. If you say, I'm taking control over this, I am not going to eat. What's going to happen? You're going to lose your life. If you say, I will eat, but akramakumullah, I'm not letting anything out, you will lose your life. So you really don't have control over it. You're controlled by your needs, biological needs. You need to breathe, you need to drink, you need sun. So naturally, you are in need of a lot of things in life for you to be able to survive. And it's apparent in the Holy Quran in many different ayahs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Taha informed us, فَقُلْنَا يَا آدَمُ اسْكُنْ أَنْتَ وَزَوْجُكَ الْجَنَّةَ فقلنا يا آدم إن هذا عدو لك ولزوجك فلا يخرجنكما من الجنة فتشقى إن لك لا تجوع فيها ولا تعرى ولا تظمأ فيها ولا تضحى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He placed Adam in the isolated location for him to get trained on obedience, he said, don't worry about your needs, I will take care of them. It's a very important message in that ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took care of his needs, natural needs. إِنَّ لَكَ أَلَّا تَجُوعَ فِيهَا وَلَا تَعْرَى. I will fulfill your needs for food and to cover your clothing. It's one of the needs, to protect yourself from the environment. وَأَنَّكَ لَا تَضْمَأُ فِيهَا وَلَا تَضْحَى. Drink and shelter from the sun. Why was Adam alayhi salam granted his needs? For a reason of obedience, to free himself for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah's system. In another ayah, Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَالْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ وَأُمُّهُ صَدِّيقًا كَانَا يَأْكُلَانِ الطَّعَامِ. In this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also refers to the natural needs. In both ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us, oh you humans, you could be enslaved by your needs. Be careful. So Allah's given us a taste of enslavement, if you will. And pay good attention to this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you a taste of dependencies. Because we're truly dependent. We'll never be 100% independent. He's giving you biological dependencies to tell you, be careful. The concept is there. But then he gave you a choice of freeing yourself from other enslavement and dependencies. The biological one, it's normal, natural, nobody complains about it. We are hungry, we eat. But the concept, the wisdom in it, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed Adam alayhi salam in that isolation called the Jannah in the Quran, and he told him, I'll take care of your dependencies, I just want you to focus on one thing, which is, افعل ولا تفعل, لا تأكل من هذه الشجرة. Just focus on the manhaj. Focus on the system that will help you develop your life in every other aspect. And be careful not to fall into enslavement by choice. So the second type of slavery, that's the dangerous one, the biological one, the natural one, nobody pays attention to it. But this is to remind you and prepare you for the more difficult one. Slavery number two, type number two, slave or enslaved by desires. See, now you're being prepared. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with His mercy is preparing you, giving you a little dose of slavery and telling you, be careful, there's desires now. Although food is desires, but food could be taken as necessity and it could turn into desires. This is why eat and drink, but do not waste, so you won't turn it from necessity to desires. Desires becomes really dangerous. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah, زُيَّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ. It's been beautified for people. The love of desires. What kind of desires? من النساء والبنين والقناطير المقنطرة من الذهب والفضة والخيل المسومة والأنعام والحرث ذلك متاع الحياة الدنيا. But then he says, وَاللَّهُ عِنْدَهُ حُسْنُ الْمَآبِ. It has been beautified for you, O humans, the love of desires. Women, same thing for women, men. So the relationships between a man and a woman, it's a desire, it's been beautified, and it's essential for procreation and the continuation of life. Al-Banin, offsprings, children, it's a desire. Some people cannot stop having it. They want more and more and more. قناطير المقنطرة من الذهب والفضة. Wealth, definitely a big drive. A big drive for a lot of people. Wealth, they're always after wealth and after money and after increasing their bank accounts. الخيل المسومة, the beautiful horses. مسومة means marked. And interestingly enough, in our days, we'll always look for the marked vehicles, brand names. This is the best brand name. Because it's this brand name, this vehicle is worth all this money. So الخيل المسومة will also apply to vehicles, cars, brands. A lot of people waste their life chasing this desire. والأنعام والحرث, crops and stocks and all of this is what people are normally after. The goods of al-hayat al-dunya. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, yes, it's for you to enjoy. Now, some people would say, but Allah created it for us. So what? Yes, it is for you to enjoy. Wallahu indahu husnul ma'ab. But do not get enslaved by it. The message is clear. Own it. Don't let it own you. Coming out of Ramadan, you've been trained, and we mentioned it in different khutbahs, to take control of your life. The desires are there, they're not haram. Nobody said they're haram if they're halal. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, you've been transformed as a strong-willed human. Enjoy the desires of life, but don't let it enslave you. Don't let it own you. You own it. بالعدل, بالقسط, reasonably. Don't let it own you, because the more you get owned by your desires, guess what happens? You will definitely get owned by something higher. Because you'll get used to become a slave. And then you'll be more than willing and ready to submit your will to whoever will fulfill your desires. In a famous hadith, Rasulullah ﷺ talks about the condition of the Muslim ummah when it's weak. In it, ﷺ said, يوشك أن تتداعى عليكم الأمم. You will be in a situation where everybody around you is ready to consume you and eat you and finish you. كما تداعى الأكلة على قصعتها. Exactly like when you have animals that are ready to consume and eat their prey. Think of lions attacking a gazelle or a deer. Think of that picture. You will be in a situation where you are like this lamb or a deer with a bunch of lions are ready to eat you up. You will go through this. Is that possible? Yes. Are we there? I'll leave it for you to answer. A Sahaba said, why would this happen? Is it because we are few? أو من قلة يا رسول الله? Is it because the numbers are few? What did he say عليه الصلاة والسلام? He said, بل أنتم كثير. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of you. Where are we at now? 1.7 billion? There's a lot of you. It's not about numbers. It's not about quantity. Not surprisingly, it's about quality. وَلَكِنَّكُمْ غُثَاءٌ كَغُثَاءِ السَّيْلِ. But you have no weight. There's a lot of you, but you have no weight. There's no quality at that time. So when we are weak, always under attack, always deprived our rights, it's because we hold no weight. Simple and easy. Wallahi, Islam is simple. The instructions are very simple. The equations are very simple. Might be difficult to apply in some cases, but it's because you hold no weight. Why, Ya Rasulullah, we hold no weight? Why is it that we have no weight? وَلَيَنْزَعَنَّ اللَّهُ مِنْ صُدُورِ عَدُوِّكُمْ الْمَهَابَةَ مِنْكُمْ. You have no weight because your enemies do not respect you, do not fear you, do not consider you. This is a perfect description and evaluation of the condition. Every time we go through a problem, it's because we have no dignity, we have no respect, we have no weight, we have no power. Exactly. Every time I invite you to evaluate every situation or issue we go through, you will find the exact same. وَلَيَقْذِفَنَّ فِي قُلُوبِكُمُ الْوَهَنَ. Why do we have no respect? Because there's wahan in our hearts. Look at now, we're tying the loop. We're completing the sentence now. What is الوهن يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم؟ وقال قائل يا رسول الله وما الوهن؟ قال حب الدنيا وكراهية الموت. The love of dunya. And what's الدنيا؟ ذلك متاع الحياة الدنيا زين الناس حب الشهوات منه. It's tying in together. We love dunya, we love the goods of dunya, we love our desires. وكراهية الموت. And you hate death. I mean, nobody loves death. But كراهية الموت is, you're not ready to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we are indulged in hubb al-dunya, in the love of goods of the dunya and the desires, we hate death, we don't want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is clearly telling you, you get enslaved by your desires, you love desires, you work for desires, you don't want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why don't you want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because we're not ready. Because we're busy with the dunya. Because we're not prepared. Because we're not focusing on the right thing. We love Him, but we don't want Him to see us. And He sees us all the time, subhanahu, at the worst of our conditions. And the vicious circle starts. The cycle starts. Focus on shahawat, stay away from deen, and this is exactly what's happening. In a different hadith, Rasulullah said, عن أبي هريرة, he said صلى الله عليه وسلم, تعس عبد الدينار وعبد الدرهم وعبد الخميصة. تعس عبد الدينار وعبد الدرهم. He used the word abd here. تعس, تعاسة, that means this person will be driven into the worst of conditions. Sadness, despair. Who is this person? Abdul Dinar, the slave of a dinar, the slave of the dirham. What does slave of dinar means? The person that's continually chasing the dollar, continuously chasing the dollar, enslaved by the dollar, enslaved by the desires. Very clear description. Very clear prescription for you, the follower of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You want to rise? We start by understanding the problems. Here are the problems. Wallahi, I've never seen or read any more clear evaluation and description of the condition. Here, avoid it. So you will avoid the worst enslavement in the third part. The third type of enslavement, especially for the people that get used to enslavement because they're enslaved by desires, is to be, which is the worst type, is to become enslaved by humans. To become enslaved by humans has two channels. One by force, because someone could force you into it, like we've seen with the brutal enslavement that happened in history on the African people. That was by force. And then there is the new type of enslavement that we see in our time that happens through desires. They both, by the way, lead to the same thing. As a matter of fact, the second one, in my opinion, is worse. Because you don't know that you're enslaved. You're fooling yourself. You're being fooled that you're free, but you're not. But the one by force is known. When it's known, you can work on it and try to do something about it. But if you don't know, you're deceived, you can live with it for a much longer time. Enslaved by humans is the worst type of enslavement. And enslaved by humans in our day and time has a different look, a more modern look, a more acceptable look, a more merciful and kind look. It's beautified, but people don't pay attention that it's enslaved. It's enslavement. In a famous ayah in Surah At-Tawbah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله. There's some people in history that took their ahbar and ruhban, their shuyukh, their monks, their religious people, they took them as lords instead of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in a famous hadith, عن عدي بن حاتم رضي الله عنه وأرضاه, the Rasul صلى الله عليه وسلم saw him once and wearing an article of a sign of a different religion. So Rasul صلى الله عليه وسلم rejected that, and he said, don't wear this, O Adi. And then he read the ayah, Rasul صلى الله عليه وسلم, talking to Adi ibn Hatim, he said, اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله. Adi said, but we never worshipped them, Ya Rasulullah. Look, the exact same thing happening nowadays. But we don't worship them. Then he answered, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أليس يحرمون ما أحل الله ويحلون ما حرم الله فتستحلونه قال بلى قال فتلك عبادته. Don't they tell you what to do and not to do and what not to do? He said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. Yeah, we do follow them in everything. What about if it's haram? In the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, say, well, we listen to them, they're the ones that know. He said, that's فَتِلْكَ عِبَادَةُ. So when you find yourself in a situation where you follow someone without evaluating the orders and the commands and the habits that they're teaching you, you do everything they do. We go out there, we put on a certain brand clothing because such and such is wearing it. We buy this cologne because such and such wears it. We drive this car because this person is doing it. Without thinking, we just follow blindly. Out of desire or out of fear or whatever it is. Blind following is a ibadah, is an enslavement. And I think it applies to our age and time in many, many things we do. Some people do this thinking that they will reach izzah and fakhr and rif'ah. Look at what I'm wearing, this certain brand, or I'm driving this car, or this or that. But listen what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us. وَاتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ آلِهَةً لِيَكُونُوا لَهُمْ عِزًّا. You're following other people, حَذْوًا بِحَذْوٍ, copying everything they do because it makes you feel that you're dignified, that you're worth it. By doing this, you're bringing some worth in your life, some value in your life. Well, guess what? كَلَّا سَيَكْفُرُونَ بِعِبَادَتِهِمْ وَيَكُونُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ ضِدًّا. Those ones that make you follow whatever they want or make you copy them for their own benefit because they're making money off of you or whatever it is, they will disown you in a second. In a second. You mean nothing to them. We know that Umar ibn Khattab said his famous statement, مَنْ اسْتَعْبَدْتُمُ النَّاسَ وَقَدْ وَلَدَتْهُمْ أُمُّهُمْ أَحْرَارًا. O you Muslim, O you humans, focus on your freedom, true freedom. Freedom from desires, from every type of enslavement. Another type of worshipping humans that we've seen in the past few months, especially during the elections time. Interesting one, and we've seen it more and more, which is the concept of loyalty. Some people, again, misunderstand the word loyalty. When you have absolute loyalty to a person or a party, you don't realize that you're getting enslaved by that? It was clear and apparent during elections. And this is the reason why I wanted to deliver this khutbah. The new form of enslavement, loyalty. Instead of focusing on the interest of our community, some people go out with absolute loyalty to this party or that person because they're less harmful. Subhanallah. But they're harming you in this and this. Okay, this is, as long as it's not this harm, no, let's support these guys, stay with these guys. And they're thinking that they're worth it, that they have value by doing this. But their involvement with that party or that person is not getting them anything. I don't want to mention exact examples, but it's just sad. When we lose focus on the community and serving the community and growing the community and protecting the interest of people, not the elites, and we do it in the name of loyalty because they've done something good for us, it is sad. And this message is mainly for the activists. But for all of us to know, because we all have a responsibility to free ourselves from all sorts of enslavements and drive our community and our nation and our country into true freedom, where people are respected and dignified. And for you believers, know that enslavement is in our nature as humans, as we said, because of our dependencies. So this is why we choose the best form of enslavement that will keep us free, which is to become Ibad al-Rahman. To become the slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who by you becoming His slave is making you a true free person, because He's not asking you for anything. He doesn't benefit from you, subhanahu wa ta'ala. With your enslavement to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are rising. Your dignity is rising. Your respect is rising. And you will gain the respect from all humans by being from Ibad al-Rahman. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those who will be proud to become Ibad al-Rahman. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enlighten our hearts and our minds. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to teach us His deen and help us apply it and help us understand it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us with His mercy. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us and protect our deen and protect our children. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect all the weak ones across the globe. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to alleviate the suffering of our brothers and sisters in Palestine, in Iraq, in Yemen, in Egypt, in Kashmir, wherever they are. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to stop that bloodshed and reward them with the best of rewards. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us always protect our freedom and protect our dignity and respect. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us stay on the right path as mu'mineen. Innahu ala kulli shay'in qadir.